when there's a controlled fire, a fire pit or fireplace or things that you can control, it's very warm and it's very relational, and they add an element to our lives. But when it's out of control, it can be very harmful, very dangerous, and hurtful. And we're all in positions where we're watching over and covering several people, not just the kids in your classroom, but the teacher in your classroom, the teacher and the kids in the other classrooms, really all of them. And so I want to make sure we're all well aware of not just the prevention of fire, but what fire looks like outside of just a red flame, as well as how to put it out, and things to watch for. Make sense? Fire. Fire itself, I have a neat little illustration or a piece of paper. This is the almost a scientific breakdown, if you will, of what fire consists of. There are 4 elements that make up fire. You have oxygen, you have heat, you have fuel, and the 4th element is the chain reaction that keeps it going. And so when you have these things, when you have these sources, and they blend together, and there's something called a flash point, which is where any given object, whether it's a piece of wood or plastic or drywall or what have you, when it reaches its flash point, it actually goes and ignites. In fire training, a flashover is when everything in the room, the load, the fire load, reaches the same flash point at the same time, and it all ignites. Usually that's about 1,000 degrees. So you really don't want to be in a room when that happens. So a fire will build and a fire grows. And so as this chain reaction happens, it'll get bigger and consume the load within that room. Now you can see just around here, we have wood, but we have paper, we have carpet. And so if something were to happen, it wouldn't take a whole lot of time, really 2 or 3 minutes for this whole room to be at least half consumed. And so you would see it come wherever it's at, and smoke would come up. Smoke would come up to the ceiling, and then that smoke would actually start to fall because it builds. And then you'd start to see these fingers, these flame fingers, rolling across the ceiling until the heat builds up and the gases build up so much that the room flashes over. So a lot of fires can really be prevented through awareness, being careful with candles and electricity and things like that. But also, if there is a fire, they can easily be put out if you know how to use an extinguisher. So really, that's what we'll look at today. There, in the basics of fire, they're really 4, and they've created a new class of fire. There's Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D, and then the 5th class is Class K. Your Class A fires are your normal combustible material. So it's paper, wood, elements like cardboard, things like that. Your Class B are your flammable liquids and gas, kerosene, gasoline, propane, elements like that. Your Class C is your electrical. Anytime you have a stove or a radio or elements like that, and the fire is as a result of a short, and so that heat source is creating that, that's your Class C fire. A Class D fire is metal. Now we really don't, it probably won't happen here. You see Class D fires or metal fires in manufacturing shops. The Volkswagen Bug, they have a magnesium engine. That catches on fire often, and when it does, you can't put water on it. If you do, it actually increases the flame. So we want you to park wave. I'm just teasing. The new class that I mentioned is Class K, and they actually separated out the cooking oils into its own separate class because each of those classes require a different type of extinguisher. Class A, your combustibles, you can use water. Water can put that out pretty easily. And really, in our example, any extinguisher, whether it's water or one of these multi-purpose units, what it does is it removes one of these elements in the chain reaction here. And so what water does, it takes out the heat and breaks down the process. Now when we go out and put out a fire in the back here, you'll notice something. It won't take out the heat and it'll still smolder. and I'll throw a match on it and it'll go right back up pretty quickly. It interrupts the process right here. And the reality is, let's say wood on a Class A fire, the wood itself doesn't burn. The gases from the wood actually burn. And so the gases from the wood actually burn. So the wood heats up and creates this gas, and that gas layer, it's a very fine layer, that's what actually burns. And it consumes the wood, and that's why you see it shrink. Class B fires, it's the same source, or it's the same theory, it just creates a vapor. And so as the gases and liquids heat up, they create a vapor barrier, and it's the vapor that actually is on fire. And so what we'll see out here with this multi-purpose, this is a dry chemical fire extinguisher. And so this doesn't remove the heat, this just interrupts the process. And so when you put a fire out with this, you need to be very careful that it doesn't start back again. And so really our process is, if you have to use one of these, go ahead and use it, but notify somebody obviously as soon as possible and watch it. If it flashes up again, which they're known to do, hit it again. You don't have to deploy this whole, this is a 5 pound. We have some 10 pounds out there that we'll use. You don't have to use the whole 10 pound extinguisher. You'll see pretty quick that it'll knock the fire out in a hurry. But this right here, and you'll see what the fire extinguisher is rated for. And so this is ABC. So this will handle your normal combustibles. This will handle your electrical, or your flammable liquids and gas, and your electrical type fires. So that's why these are so good. Did you get that?
Debbie got it.
Oh, okay, thank you. When you see these hanging up on a wall, there's not a whole lot of parts, really to them. Obviously, you have the nozzle, which comes out. You have a handle, and then a pin. This tab here can be ripped off very easily. Matter of fact, we'll do it out there on the 2 I have, and you'll see how easy it is. So it doesn't take a lot of pressure to rip this off. But really, that's one of your first moves. What's that?
If you're panicked. I ripped it right off.
Yeah, they're pretty easy. Doesn't take much. Just pop it off. You pull this pin out, and really you're ready to go. And this is the actual, on this unit, and really on most, this is the actual handle that allows you to depress the dry chemical that's in here. Are you all familiar with where the fire extinguishers are located? Okay, we have 2 on this floor, and we have 2 on the other floor. The classrooms upstairs have 2 in them also. Please be aware of where they're at. They're easy to take off the wall. And go ahead and feel free to practice taking them off the wall. You're not going to hurt anything. I want you to feel very comfortable around this. This is a lot more comfortable than trying to deal with the fire, really with water, to be honest with you. So how to use this? It's very simple. There's powder in here, there's nitrogen in here. When you press the button, it comes shooting out. You have about a 10-foot range. And so if I were to shoot it, Sherry would be able to see it. Right up close. Remember, when you're using this, remember PASS. P-A-S-S. That's how you're going to remember how to use this effectively. So, P is for pull. So you pull the pin. So you pull the pin. A is for aim. So you aim the nozzle. You aim the nozzle right at the base of the fire. Because remember, whether it's vapor or whether it's your gases, that's that layer you want to shoot right away. So P, you pull the pin. A is you aim. The S is you squeeze. So you punch down on it and you squeeze. The second S is you sweep. So you don't have to shoot it and shoot it. Just keep it down and then sweep it. Sweep it at the base of the fire. Now when we go out here, you'll see about a second, literally, and the fire's going to be out. Probably not even. So there's a significant amount of pressure here, but it's not the type of pressure that it's going to force the nozzle out of your hand. So you can easily manage putting out a fire at a very safe distance with these. Make sense? So remember, P-A-S-S. You pull the pin, you aim the nozzle, you squeeze, and then you sweep. Okay, who are my pyromaniacs?
Secretly.
secretly.
For the house.
Candace.
Candace is?